Welcome students to a lecture in which we will have an elaborative view with respect to Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. In the last lecture, we have discussed about Saylor and Alexander model, which use the approach of administrative model of curriculum, and also we have discussed the steps in the preparation of Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. But in this lecture, we will explore more about the various challenges that we will be facing with respect to this model. In the current scenario, it is very much essential to identify the challenges and also to overcome the challenges. And there are certain theoretical aspects with respect to this particular model. So first we will look on to various theoretical backgrounds that is underpinning Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. Major theoretical underpinnings is starting from various theories like behaviorism, constructivism. We will be also discussing certain philosophical backgrounds like pragmatism and also certain psychological and sociological underpinnings, that is with regard to Saylor and Alexander model. First one that we will be discussing is behaviorism. This model incorporates various principles of behaviorism, especially when it comes to the observable outcomes and measurable objectives. That is the major principle with respect to behaviorism, that is observable outcomes and also measurable objectives. That means various learning experiences that we are providing to the students, there should be a clear goals for student learning, isn't it? The goals that should be very much clear. Even Saylor and Alexander model, we say that it is goal oriented or it is objective oriented. It is more focusing on refining, reviewing and researching on the objectives and the goals. That is why one of the major theoretical underpinnings is with respect to behaviorism, that it is giving more importance to the outcomes, that means observable outcomes, and also the specific behaviors of the learners and their competencies are also assessed. That is also one of the major points with respect to behaviorism. So in this way we can say that with respect to the outcomes and also with respect to the objectives, Saylor and Alexander model is very much clear with respect to these two aspects. Next one is with regard to constructivism. When moving on to constructivism, we know that it is different from that of behaviorism. Here the students are constructing their knowledge with the help of the teachers. That means the major work is done by the students and the teachers are always behind the curtain and the teachers are the facilitators. Here we can say that the learners actively construct their own understanding and knowledge. When they are constructing actively their own understanding and knowledge, proper involvement of the students is there in the teaching learning process. Complete involvement of the students are there. The students are involving over there in the teaching learning process. So that is also which we could reflect in the Saylor and Alexander model. That means we are getting the students involved into the curriculum and also it is much dynamic and interactive process. When it is not dynamic and not interactive, we are not providing the space to the students in order to construct the knowledge. So we are providing space to the students to construct knowledge, which means that we are getting them actively involved into the curriculum. And the next point is systems theory. Saylor and Alexander model is influenced by system theory. In which way? Because it views curriculum development as an interconnected process. Interconnected process means various processes are being interconnected in order to form a particular curriculum. As a system, we know that the major interconnections in the systems are input, output and also the process. Otherwise, we can say that the goals, the content and the implementation and evaluation. This is a part of the cohesive system. So it is very much aligned to the systems theory also, that is what is the input that we are giving, how effectively we are implementing the input, how effectively the process is carried on, the implementation is carried on, and how effectively we are checking the outcome. That is what known as system analysis. So Saylor and Alexander model is very much aligned to the systems theory. Next one, we will move on to the curriculum alignment. This model emphasizes alignment of curriculum goals with educational standards and assessment. That is also one of the theoretical principles with respect to Saylor and Alexander model. Whatever theoretical principles are there, whatever recommendations are there, which in order to enhance the effectiveness of the education institutions, we are getting in aligned with the various educational standards and also the assessment procedures. When we are moving on to the feedback mechanism, feedback, we all know that it is a critical component, and as a critical component of the curriculum development process, feedback mechanism is being incorporated in the Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum, because we know that when we are implementing the feedback mechanism, it allows us to rectify our errors, it allows us for better adjustment, it allows us for better improvements, and also proper reflection is taking place. Reflection means we are looking into ourselves, isn't it? We are reflecting ourselves. Just like in physics, we know that what is reflection? The bouncing back of light rays is known as reflection. We are looking into ourselves and we are reflecting ourselves, and also we are designing the curriculum effectively. So behaviorism, constructivism, systems theory along with curriculum alignment and feedback is constituting certain underpinnings, theoretical underpinnings. Apart from that, there are a few. Let's move on to the next slide. First one is cultural relevance. We know that in order to understand the student very well, we have to understand the background of the students. That is very important, the background of the student. And this model, it is very much encouraging the inclusion of the culturally relevant content. Culturally relevant content is being incorporated in this model. That is also one of the theoretical principles, because why we have to incorporate the culturally relevant content, because it then creates a resonance with the experiences and identities of all learners. Proper resonance should be there. It should go hand in hand, isn't it? It should mingle with each other. Any student who are sitting in the classroom should feel that, yes, of course, I am learning something very much relevant, which will be helpful in my future. I am learning something which is with respect to the daily life situations. I could implement this knowledge in future. I am getting benefit of this particular knowledge. So that concern should be there from the part of the students. That is why it is cultural relevance. Next one is holistic education. Saylor and Alexander model involves a holistic view of education. Holistic view of education means it is not only academic skills but also personal and also social development or social competencies of the learners are also being developed over there. That is also equally important, because we have to prepare the students for different aspects of life. It should not be like we are preparing the students only to get some by heart knowledge which they have gained. Let them put it into practice. Education system should also be in that way, because National Education Policy 2020 is telling that give the logical framework to the students. We have to give the logical framework to the students. The ethical decision making, let it be done by the students. The ethical decision making should be done by the students. So that is why we can say that the framework that we are giving to the students, the better framework that we are giving to the students, the better outcome and also the better understanding will be there from the part of the students. So we have to focus on holistic education. Saylor and Alexander model is focusing on the holistic development in developing the academic skills along with the competencies of the students. Next one, that is collaborative approach. Collaborative approach means that is also one of the theoretical principles. That means we have to take into consideration the different stakeholders of education so that a proper collaboration, including the teachers, administrators, students, and other members of the community, so that we could make the implementation of the curriculum in a better way by considering the divergent needs of the students. Another philosophical principles that I would like to take, which is underpinning that with respect to this particular type of curriculum, that is Saylor and Alexander model, is the pragmatism. As we all know, John Dewey, one of the propounders of pragmatism, he is more emphasizing on learning by doing. So that means practical outcomes and real world applications of the knowledge. Just like I have already told, whatever knowledge that we are giving to the students, it should be helpful for them in their future careers. That is very important. In their career, why they are learning all these concepts, because some students are still making us a complaint that I learned all the sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, and all those things in my mathematics classroom, but still I don't know where I have to use it in my future career. So such confusion should not be there for the students, because they should feel that whatever things that I am learning has a real world applications. In the real world, I am going to apply it. It should be more sensible what they are learning. Saylor and Alexander model is also focusing on this particular concept of pragmatism. Let them learn by doing, and whatever things that they are doing should have a real world applications. Next one, when we are moving on to continuous improvement. This is also one of the important factor with respect to continuous improvement. Improvement should not be static. It is like once we have improved, the principle should not follow that yes, improvement has been taken place, so let's leave it. No, it should be sustainable. There should be a continuous improvement in the case of education. And how can we ensure that there is continuous improvement? By regularly assessing and refining the curriculum. By regularly assessing and refining the curriculum. And how can we regularly assess and refine? By collecting data from educators and by enhancing the teaching learning process. So we should collectively get data. We should collectively assess the performance. Always there is a need to check whether it is formative evaluation or if it is summative evaluation, doesn't matter. At every point of time, once we feel that we have to check it, even diagnostic evaluation is also possible. Once we feel that there is some certain kind of a problem, whether it can be in the input or in the process, so you can diagnose that particular problem with the help of the diagnostic evaluation, and further you can move on by rectifying the errors. So that is continuous improvement is also one of the theoretical principles which is underpinning Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. After looking into the various theoretical principles underpinning Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum, let's move on to the various challenges in implementing the Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum along with certain implications also. So first we will look into the implications. So in the implication part, I would like to say that it is giving more importance to the structured curriculum development. It is very much structured. The curriculum is very much structured. That means it is having a proper planning starting from the goals and objectives, designing the curriculum, implementing the curriculum, and also evaluating the curriculum. So that means well defined goal, well defined selection of content, organization of the content, and well defined designing of the curriculum. So each and every aspects we could see there is a logical flow which is moving from one step to the another. So that is the one of the major implications, which we can say that it is having a well structured curriculum, well planned curriculum, and also a coherent curriculum. Next I would like to discuss is focus on measurable outcomes. Since there is a clear objectives, it is very much helping the educators. How it is helping the educators? To focus on measurable learning outcomes. Of course, when the objective is very clear, the evaluation procedure automatically becomes very clear, because what we have taught, what we have taught them through the proper learning experiences, it is easy for us to check it. So that is, it helps in the assessing the student progress, it helps in ensuring the educational goals, and these two aspects are very crucial with respect to the accountability to the students in the field of education. So we can say that once the goal is set very clearly, it is very easy to make the assessment procedures. That is why we can say that Saylor and Alexander model focus on measurable outcomes. Next one is adaptability to diverse needs. Just like administrative model of curriculum, since Saylor and Alexander model is using administrative approach, we can say that it is giving importance to meet the adverse needs of the students, so that the curriculum can be inclusive. In the contemporary classroom, this aspects of inclusion is very much important, because students are from diverse background with diverse intelligence, diverse culture, and also diverse learning styles. So in order to meet their requirements, we have to make the necessary arrangements in the curriculum so that equity can be maintained. Next one is integration of technology. Educators should design learning experiences as far as Saylor and Alexander model is concerned, so that chances are there or space are there in each and every curriculum in order to meet the demands of the students. We should incorporate the curriculum, and this incorporation should not be for the namesake, just for the name's sake, or for implementing, for the name of implementing, or for the sake of implementing, we are just implementing it. No, proper blend should be there when we are incorporating any kind of technology into the classroom, because it should be effective and also it should be meaningful. Proper utility and feasibility should be ensured when we are integrating technology into the curriculum as far as Saylor and Alexander model is concerned. Next one is continuous improvement. This model always focus on continuous, that means ongoing evaluation procedures. What do you mean by ongoing evaluation procedures? Regularly we are assessing, regular assessment is there, and regular refining of the curriculum is also there based on the feedback and the performance data. Regular feedback we are getting, regularly we are assessing the curriculum, and accordingly we are redefining, accordingly we are reviewing and making the changes in the curriculum. That is why it is continuously improving. It is not like once we are implemented or only at the end of the session we are checking it. It is at times, whenever we find it necessary, continuously we are collecting the feedback, and based on the data of the feedback, we are making necessary changes in the curriculum. Collaboration among stakeholders. This model also highlights the collaboration of different stakeholders like educators, administrators, students, and the community in the curriculum development. A sense of ownership and commitment. and also a successful implementation. These three are the major merits I would like to say, or major importance with respect to involving the different stakeholders in the field of education, that is ownership, commitment, and also the successful implementation of the curriculum. So we have to consider that particular fact also, that we are successfully implementing the curriculum with the help of the different stakeholders, or by considering the aspirations, experiences, and also the opinion of the stakeholders during the time of the implementation of the curriculum. Next one is alignment with standards. It aligns with the state and also the national educational goals, just like administrative model of curriculum. Whatever recommendations or whatever changes that is taking place with respect to the state and also the national standards and with regard to education and students' benefit are positively incorporated in the Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum, and which is increasingly important in the educational accountability. Next one is holistic education, that it is giving more importance to the skill developments and also the competency of the student, so that the students may become skilled persons once they come out of the curriculum or once they come out through the system of education. That is also very much important. Instead of getting only the knowledge and also the understanding, we should be very much skilled in both respect, skilled with respect to hands-on experiences and also skilled with respect to analysis and also the critical thinking, and even in developing the creativity also. Next one is cultural relevance. This model gives more importance to include culturally relevant content by recognizing the students' backgrounds and also experiences in the field of education. So in which culture the students are, and what are the cultural background of the students, what are the experiences that the students are gaining from different cultures, those cultural aspects should be incorporated in the curriculum, so that they may not feel themselves as an exile or as a foreign person when they are into the curriculum or when they are getting involved in the curriculum. Next one is pragmatic force. That means Saylor and Alexander model gives more importance to applications. That means application of knowledge. So the curriculum should be designed in such a way that let the students apply whatever knowledge that they receive in their real life situations. In their real life, let them apply it. Let them have a particular view that yes, I'm going to apply it or I will be benefited from this. And what is the reason for that? Because whatever things that is fruitful, whatever things that is beneficial for us, we will be more interested to learn. Once we find that this is not going to do any help for me or it has nothing to do in my entire lifetime, so of course we may not be much motivated for that. That won't give any sort of reinforcement for us. So in order to get such a reinforcement, we have to be more into the curriculum when it is focusing on the real world experiences. So that is all about the various implementation aspects with respect to Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. And now let's move on to certain challenges in implementing the Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. So most of the challenges which we have gone through administrative model of curriculum, that will be reflected in the Saylor and Alexander model also, because Saylor and Alexander model is mainly using the approach that is administrative model. The first point that we want to discuss is the resistance to change. Many educators may feel that the traditional curriculum or whatever things that is going on, of course it can be sustained, because we have seen many teachers or many of the educators or many persons in the field of education, they used to say that we have gone through this particular curriculum and we became successful. So let's go on with this. From the time immemorial, we have been using this. They used to say like that. But technology is changing, society is changing, mindset of the student is changing, intelligence and intelligence levels of the students are changing. Lot of changes are being taking place. So we have to move on with the changes that is taking place. So once we are trying to implement the Saylor and Alexander model with respect to the changes that is taking place in the current educational scenario, the reluctance of different stakeholders, sometimes it can be a challenge. So our moral responsibility is to make them convince the various changes that is taking place in this field, and also help them to come through this or go through these changes. We should hold their hands and we should let them move along with us in this particular changes, in those particular changes that is taking place. And in this way we could more or less overcome this particular challenge. Next one is limited resources. The problem with regard to the funds may be affecting the proper hiring of resources. It can be related to the teaching methods, it can be related to the qualified teachers, and also the various infrastructure facilities that we have to provide to the students, especially while implementing the curriculum. It can also be a challenge. So that means limited access to the materials and also limited access to the technology can be a challenge with respect to Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum. Apart from that, it is inadequate training. Once a curriculum is being implemented, we are designing it effectively, of course with the help of the experts, with the help of the different persons in the higher positions or the administrators. We are designing the curriculum effectively. Well and good, we are designing the curriculum effectively, but if we are not properly able to impart those design into the teachers or into those who are implementing the curriculum by proper sessions or by proper training, it can be a challenge. Proper knowledge should be given to the teachers, proper skills should be provided to the teachers in implementing the curriculum. Complexity of curriculum design. Sometimes there can be certain complexities with respect to time consumption also, or it can be time consuming. Various complexities may arrive when we are implementing the model of curriculum. So here educators may struggle with the detailed process of defining the goals, because when we are preparing the draft of the curriculum, the complete process of the designing of the goals, the selection of the content, designing of the content, arrangement of the content, everything is given in detail. So to get acquainted with all these things all of a sudden, sometimes it may not be possible. So in that case, we can say that the complexity of the curriculum design, first of all, whenever the curriculum is being involved or being given to the teachers, it may become complex because it is the first time that they are into that particular curriculum. So but when they are getting involved into it and once they feel comfortable with that, it may take time, of course it may take time, but once they are comfortable with that of the curriculum, then it's easy. But in the beginning it can be a challenge. Apart from that, alignment with standards. Even though there are national and also international standards, we have to align with those particular standards, and it is well and good. But sometimes the various amendments and also the various changes that is taking place in the national and also the state level standards sometimes may affect the proper implementation of the curriculum, because there is a sort of disturbances that is coming in the curriculum when there is amendment or changes in the norms and the principles, and it may take further time in order to incorporate those amendments and also those changes, and naturally it will completely disturb the whole academic calendar. and it can be time consuming and it can be effort taking, and sometimes there can be reluctance from the part of the teachers. So it is a challenge that we are facing when we are completely into aligning with the standards. Next one, diverse needs of the students. Even though Saylor and Alexander model emphasizes the tailoring content to meet the diverse needs, addressing the varying background of the students. Varying background means it can be their abilities, learning styles of the students, that can be a significant challenge, particularly in the heterogeneous classrooms. Once there is a heterogeneous classroom in which there are different type of students with different abilities, capabilities and capacities, in order to include all their diverse needs into the curriculum itself can be challenging. Time constraints I have already discussed when I have discussed with the topic alignment with standards, and also with regard to complexity of the design of curriculum. That means overwhelmed with the current educational responsibilities can be a feeling for the teachers or the educators, because they may not feel much comfortable in order to completely dedicate into the new model of the curriculum. So that can be an issue, or that can be leading to certain educational constraints or time constraints. Apart from that, it is communication gaps. We have already discussed communication gap in the administrative model of curriculum. Just like that, when it is coming to the Saylor and Alexander model of curriculum, when there is no proper delivery of the information with respect to the design of the curriculum from the administrators to the teachers, it can be a problem or it can be a challenge, because it can lead to misunderstanding, and also this will affect the goal, this will affect the process, and also naturally it will affect the successful implementation of the curriculum. Now we will look into assessment of challenges. Developing appropriate assessment methods is very much necessary, because I have already told you that once we set the goal, based on the goals we are assessing. If the goal is okay, if the goal is well defined, assessment procedures will also go hand in hand. See, for example, if the goal is well designed and the assessment tools are not proper in order to check the goals which we have already prepared, it may also affect the proper implementation or the proper analyzing of the curriculum. Then it can be a challenge. That means educators must create assessments that accurately measure the student learning outcomes. Then only the curricular objectives will be reflected in the the curricular outcome or in the assessment procedures. So that can also be a challenge. Apart from that, cultural relevance in the inclusion of the diverse students, we have already told that we are including the diverse needs of the students. Cultural diversity is also included in that, but specifically cultural relevance inclusion can be a challenge, because we may struggle to identify and integrate materials that resonate with all the students, that may go hand in hand with all the needs of the students. Because just like grassroots level model, we are not assessing the needs of the students over here. We are, by considering the culture, by considering their environment, by considering the various policies and recommendation, we ourselves are setting the goals and the objectives. We are not assessing the needs over here. So in this respect, including all the cultural relevant aspects of all the students can be a challenging task. So these are the various challenges that we have with respect to Saylor and Alexander model. So today in this lecture, we have given a complete overview with respect to various theoretical underpinnings of Saylor and Alexander model, and also the challenges that we are facing, and also the aspects with respect to implementation of Saylor and Alexander model. Even though it is giving a novel framework for understanding the complex dynamics of online learning, complex dynamics of offline learning, we can say that when successfully executed, we can implement Saylor and Alexander model in a better way, because we know that optimizing the learning environment, providing a conducive learning environment for the learners, and also making them ensure or making them taking them into confidence that whatever things that they are learning have a real world experiences. There lies the success of the proper implementation of the curriculum. I hope you must have got in detail what is Saylor and Alexander model with respect to the implementation challenges and also the theoretical underpinnings. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you so much.